What do you want from me? What have I done? I'm just a word processor, for Christ's sake.
And welcome to the Mind Your Movies podcast. I'm Ryan,
I'm Shane.
and we're pretty much word processors here. So all we
That's
do is
what
talk about movies.
that's what a podcast is, word processing, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. That's a
Well,
job that probably doesn't exist anymore. That's an 80s job, a word processor.
yeah.
I don't know. Typist.
I guess courts, right? Do courts still have typists? I
Well, yeah, I guess so.
think I see that in Law and
Court
Orders.
recorder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Anyways,
anyway, this week our topic is New York City movies set in New York City. So we got After Hours and Do the Right Thing, two classic, honestly pretty great picks for New York City movies, I think. And we are going to talk about them in depth with spoilers later on. But first, before we get into that, we do a little segment talking about some things we've seen recently. Well, no spoilers in this segment. Ryan, if you want to kick it off, maybe with something you've seen recently.
sure. I'll start with the Fantastic Four. First Steps. This is the new Fantastic Four movie that just came out. Um, It's got Pedro Pascal. It's got Vanessa Kirby. It's got a pretty smacking cast, and it's got a cool like retro.
Smacking.
Listen, I'm trying to go with the retro. It's got a cool
The
like
cast is
retro.
groovy.
The cast is groovy. They're jive.
Whoa,
Wait,
whoa. I think jive is a bad thing.
oh, is that a bad thing?
The bad guy is jive.
Oh, well, anyways, these guys are not bad guys. They're groovy. They're rad. And it's got that like retro kind of like atomic punks type of like 50s futuristic aesthetic. Which really like sold me on it. I was pretty into it right away. They got like the flying cars from like the Jetsons and stuff. Um and um and going into it, that's kind of what I was expecting. I wasn't expecting too much. And you know what? It was fine. It was fun. If you like the Fantastic Four, I think this is probably the best Fantastic Four movie. Um, that's not the worst competition, but
Yeah, that's easy competition right there, pretty
yeah,
much. I didn't
but
like those as a kid though. The
yeah,
Jessica Alba, Chris Evans ones.
yeah. I'll say for anyone going into it that is excited for it, I'll say there's some kind of annoying stuff with the plot that you kind of have to just put aside. But if you do that, you'll probably have fun. It's not connected at all to like the rest of the Marvel stuff going on right now, so you don't need to worry about catching up on your Death Slinger, Disney Plus 5-part miniseries season 5 or anything like that. Um, but
I think it is going to tie in though with like Avengers Doomsday, right? Isn't that the idea? Like Fantastic Four is gonna get
yeah,
involved with the Avengers somehow or whatever.
it is going to be involved, but for this one movie, you can just enjoy it solo, which is nice.
Yeah.
Super nice. So, in addition, I think the score was absolutely fantastic in this movie. So I would say any like Marvel person, any Fantastic Four fan, I'd recommend the movie too. But again, you're gonna be a little annoyed at the plot at times, and that's fine. Just go in to turn off your brain for a little bit.
Well, a raving review of It's Okay, and if you turn your brain off, you'll like it. Really great movie to kick us off with this episode. I watched another superhero movie, and I think the last, 2 weeks ago on our last full episode, I talked about Superman and how good it was, and Ryan was wrong because he didn't like it. But the new Superman was awesome, so I went back and I watched The Suicide Squad, the James Gunn one, and I thought it was great. I think it's it's the it sets you up with its tone right away with the dark humor, and I think it pulls it off really well of managing the dark humor and the sort of edgy, uh, vulgar aspects of the like comedy with some like heartfelt, moments, and actually you care about the characters. They're not just like edgy caricatures. They actually feel like characters with arcs, and they have like they're interesting as people, which is pretty nice. And yeah, I was actually very impressed by this. As someone who's not really a big superhero movie guy, I would definitely recommend this honestly to anyone. If you like a dark comedy like action movie, you can kind of just watch this and enjoy it. without even, you know, it being associated with superheroes. You know, sort of, it almost has a little bit of a kick-ass type of a vibe. Um, but yeah, I thought it was great, and now I've been my interest has been piqued in the James Gunn DC universe, and I started watching Peacemaker. So I'm turning into a normie cape shit fan, you know, a little bit like 10 years later than everyone else. But yeah, so and also Peacemaker, I watched the first few episodes, and it's kind of a similar tone with the crude dark humor, and I enjoy it. And John Cena is very funny. So
Nice. Yeah, I remember having watched the Suicide Squad movie, but I also watched the other Suicide Squad movie at like this pretty much the same time period, and I get them very confused in my head, so I don't have very good thoughts about it. But you talking about it makes me want to go back and rewatch it. So hopefully I'll do that eventually.
yeah, it's good. I mean, you didn't like the new Superman, so I don't know if maybe you're just it's interesting because you like Guardians of the Galaxy. I didn't like Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
this
who
is
knows?
just Marvel DC bias right here, pretty
It could be. Yeah, it could be. All the Marvel. Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, I
I'm
will
not, I'm not
say,
into Marvel really.
yeah, and I'll say that I'm not the biggest like DC fan, right? I mean, growing up, I read a lot of Marvel comics, so I think I'm more primed to like the Marvel stuff. But yeah,
I think I think if I think I have a list here of like superhero movies on Letterboxd. I bet my top five are all DC movies.
well,
Just because the DC movies have such a higher ceiling. I haven't seen like Infinity War, you know, so maybe that one's good or something. But you have to watch like 20 movies before you watch Infinity War, so it's not my fault.
well, that's what James Gunn's gonna do to the DC, by the way. Just saying.
Well, yeah, but it's early.
Yeah, you're getting on the ground floor here.
Well,
But
yeah,
also, I mean, The Dark Knight, The Batman, all the Batman movies are pretty awesome. Even the old ones are
yeah,
still a lot of fun. So, like, yeah, DC has some good stuff.
yeah. I mean, I've got two. I have a list on Letterboxd of my favorite superhero movies. I've got my top eight are six DC movies, and then two like not DC or Marvel movies, and then number nine is Black Panther. So there you go.
Wow,
So
Black Panther at
that's
number 9.
oh yeah, and then Kick Ass number 10. I have Superman number 11. Maybe Superman will move up. Anyway,
Anyway, yeah.
so
Well,
there's our superhero talk for this week on our episode about New York City.
oh no, I'm not done yet.
No. Oh, jeez. No Spider Man though. The New York, the most New York of all the superheroes.
Yeah. Also, the Fantastic Four movie, by the way, that new one is in like a futuristic New York City. So that kind of could have qualified. Kind of. I don't know if I really would have.
Like yeah, it's like
wanted
an
a
alternate
futuristic.
reality.
Yeah.
Because it's
But
like it's also set in the 60s, right? But
yeah.
it's like an alternate universe version.
Yeah. But still.
So it's not our New York City.
No. No.
So there you
Hashtag not my New York City.
go.
Anyways, I also watched the Roger Corman Fantastic Four movie. This is from 1994, and it never actually got released, I don't think. But he produced this movie as I think just kind of like a love project or something. He was just like super into them, and it's like kind of charming. It's got definitely the trademarks of like Roger Corman movies. You know, it's clearly low budget, probably pretty quickly made. But the Thing in this looks even better than the Thing today. So I'll say, you know, they've got some cool like animatronic stuff going on with his face that works really well. Otherwise, the special effects are, you know, it's Roger Corman, so you like it if you like it. But the movie is, I would say, fun and pretty bad. Also, big problem with this movie. Pretty much the only way you can watch it is on like terrible rips online because it was never released. So,
Makes sense.
when you're watching it, it's like, you know, you're wondering like what type of viruses are going onto your computer just from watching how bad the quality is, right? But I think it was pretty. I think honestly, I'm glad I went back to watch it. I would not say it's like better than the new Fantastic Four movie, but I think there's probably a lot of Fantastic people that maybe would like the new Fantastic Four movie that might want to go back and watch some of the others, and that's one that I think probably fewer people have seen, fewer people than the other ones for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. All right, I have kind of a cool little thing that just came out. I watched Hard Boiled, the John Woo movie. This has been like extremely difficult to watch. Like you've sort of had to find like really expensive used DVDs or like uh find it on the internet somehow illegally probably because I think the rights were owned by some company that's not maybe like a real estate company or something like that in Hong Kong. So it's been like hard to find. Uh, and Shout Factory is doing a 4K restoration, and I think it's well, so now it's available to rent or watch on Tubi. So yeah, exactly, pretty cool. And I think they might be putting it back in theaters for like a limited run, and then I assume there will be like a Blu-ray and a 4K release at some point in the future. But pretty cool that this movie's like available to watch easily now. And I watched it on Tubi with the ad breaks, and really good, entertaining movie. Definitely, if you've seen any of John Woo's like Hollywood movies, like Face Off or Hard Target, you kind of know what to expect. The over the top, ridiculous action. Uh, no one ever needs to reload. Bullets are flying everywhere. Complete insanity. But yeah, it's a very entertaining time. I think if you're an action movie sort of fan, it's probably worth renting because I don't know, Tubi kind of fucks you with the ads, you know what I mean? Probably watched like 50 ads during this 2 hour long movie. But but still like I enjoyed the movie. I don't know if I would say it's one of my favorite action movies of all time necessarily. But it was very, very entertaining, totally worth watching. And I figured it'd be good to let people know that you could actually watch this movie easily in the United States right now. So
That's awesome. And shout out to Shout Factory. They're back.
all right, get on. All right, mute this guy. Get this guy out of here.
Show's over. We're done. No, that's
Yeah,
sweet.
that the show should be canceled just for that joke alone.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. um, Nice. I'll throw in a brand spanking new movie. I don't even think it's actually in theaters until like next week. But Sketch, which I got to see with AMC's Screen Unseen thing they do. So if anyone has an AMC near them, every Monday or every other Monday, you can go and I think it's like 7 p.m. on a Monday, and you pay like $5, and you get to watch a movie that's not released yet in its theatrical run at least, and you just don't know what it is. So you're signing up, and you might love it, you might not. I've done a few of these, and every time I've been happy with what I've seen. It's a cool way to kind of like venture out of maybe what you would normally watch, which is cool, and it's really cheap. And if you just like the movies, there you go. This was Sketch, which yeah,
I just saw the trailer for this recently, and it looked. I think it was before Eddington, maybe, but it looked pretty good. I thought it looked interesting.
yeah, it's kind of like it's like a kids movie, but it's PG, which I think is surprising. But I'll get into that in a second. But yeah, it's like a 90-minute kids movie about a family, and there's a single dad, and they're all kind of going through the loss of the mom, and so there's a lot of like nice, good emotional stuff that you kind of want out of kids movies, which is cool. Um, and I would say overall it's a lot of fun. So the idea is like the kid is like expressing some of her feelings through drawing, right? And uh, and those
The
drawings
drawings,
come to life. That's
yeah.
the gist of it. So without saying too much, it gets kind of crazy. It also has some pretty interesting horror elements that I also think are a little too horror-y for a PG movie. I mean, I'm not here to like censor movies or anything, but we have PG-13 for a reason. And I think this movie probably would have been better if it either leaned more into the PG-13 aspect or leaned more into the PG aspect. Because I think having pieces that felt like either made the movie not fully feel like either. And then it kind of felt like an awkward, there was like a lot of butt jokes, and then a lot of like very maybe more adult type of things. Maybe not adult, but at least more older, like violent stuff that you maybe wouldn't expect in a PG movie. But Again, I mean, I'm not a PG. I'm not a kid, so I didn't really have a problem. But it did feel like it had an awkward mix
Hey,
there.
back in my day, Jaws was rated PG, and I turned out fine.
That's true. Hey, Jaws is re-releasing too, which is cool. Um,
Yeah, yeah, 50th anniversary. Cool,
uh,
cool. That's cool. You got to see it early.
yeah, and I
Yeah.
would totally recommend it. I kind of gave it a little bit of hate there, but I don't. I did like it a lot, and I would recommend it. It's fun.
Nice. Cool. Well, here's a movie that I don't. This, this will be interesting, but I just watched it the other day. Smile 2. And I watched Smile 1 in the theater when it came out, and I thought it was great. I really enjoyed it. And then Smile 2, I missed it when it was in the theaters, and I finally got around to watching it. And you know what? I thought Smile 2 was also great. Maybe even better than the first one. I think they I mean, it's just such a well constructed thing. It's a little on the long side. It's like 2 hours and 8 minutes, and you feel it a little bit. But I feel like I don't know. It just Parker Finn, the guy behind the Smile series, like knows how to craft a really creepy horror movie. And there's a lot of like there are a couple of cheap jump scares that I did not like, but for the most part, I think the horror comes from you know, dread and suspense, or from like stuff being kind of gross and almost in like a realistic way, like someone uh ripping their hair out, for example, in a way that's like gives you the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, I thought it was like really well written and interesting. The main character I was interested in, and I thought she was a like complex character that you kind of don't get in a lot of horror movies, to be honest. So I really liked it, but I feel like you might not be as big of a fan of the Smile movies, unless I'm wrong. But
Yeah, I mean, I think they're fine. I think I like them both, but I don't love them. I think the second one particularly, I actually saw it twice in theaters,
oh
and the first time I liked it actually a lot more than the second time. And the second time, there's some major plot thing that happens near the end that
yeah,
I think like the first time I didn't really care that much, but then the second time I was actually just I was like irritated and annoyed, and it really got to me that second time for some reason. But
I get that. The
yeah,
ending is in some ways kind of unsatisfying, I think.
yeah. But overall, I do think they do really good in the atmosphere, the scares, um the cinematography in the second movie was really cool. I think,
Yeah, and the
uh,
first.
and the first, yeah, I don't remember the first as well in my head right now, but yeah, I mean, I think I like them both, but I don't think not in my like top horror movies of all time, but
Well, yeah, I guess that's a high bar, but
yeah,
I feel like for recent horror like let's say the 2020s, I feel like the two, because I think Smile 1 came out, was it 2021 or 22 maybe?
yeah, something like that.
Something like that. But yeah, I feel like for this, like the 2010s, I feel like had a pretty strong, like there are a lot of great horror movies in that decade, but I feel like the 2020s haven't had as many, but maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like the Smile movies are both really good, and I'm definitely interested in Smile 3. So, and
Yeah,
I like that you can have like each movie has different
yeah,
characters, you can follow different people, and it's pretty interesting. So yeah,
yeah. I definitely like that quite a bit. I think I think the second one I still do. I mean, I think the first one I don't know. It's hard. I think I might like the first one maybe a little bit more, but I think the second one might be mostly better, and then just the ending kind of I don't really like. Um,
I
but
get that.
I do like them both, and they have like interesting, like you said, interesting characters, and also like some interesting metaphorical stuff that goes on. And I
Yeah,
think they're probably in that like elevated horror type of subgenre thing. So
sort of, but also they're like they have a high entertainment value for like a broad audience, I think. Like a
yeah,
lot of the sort of quote unquote elevated horror is like slower and more contemplative, a little more artsy fartsy, which I can really like, but also I can also appreciate a movie that is has a wider appeal and is a little more fast paced. And I think this movie, like, things are always happening. It's always going. It's not like a more contemplative, slow pace. So that could
yeah,
be part of the reason it's gained popularity rather instead of like I don't know, like I don't know, The Witch was pretty popular, but it didn't
Yeah.
spark a franchise. I don't know.
It's like It Follows for the it's like a faster,
Yeah.
more mainstream audience. It Follows kind of. Not that I
Yes.
mean, I think It Follows kind of fell into the mainstream, but only because of kind of
Yeah.
horror stuff. But
Yeah, well, it's definitely more accessible, I think, than It Follows in some ways, but also I feel like it reminds me of The Ring also, which was a really big hit, right?
yeah, definitely.
I think the style also is kind of similar, where it's like really well made, but also accessible to a broad audience.
Yeah, but yeah,
And it looks like Parker Finn is working on Smile 3 and potentially a remake of Possession,
well, that's
which,
cool.
yeah, which is crazy. So we'll see what happens with that. But I
Shoot,
don't know
that's
if
awesome.
I don't know if that's like happening or if it's just in development. Who knows?
Yeah, nice, cool. Yeah, yeah. Smile. I think I would definitely recommend those movies too. I think even though I have a little bit of on some of it, I think I definitely recommend them and like them overall.
Gotcha. It looks like Smile 3, according to IMDb, is in pre-production and the Possession remake is in development. So maybe it'll just never happen. But
Yeah, development hell's a real thing. Um, nice. The last thing I think I'll mention, um, you know what? I don't know if we were gonna do it, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna mention Eddington. Uh,
all right.
yeah, Shane and I actually both saw this. I'm throwing under the bus now, but we both saw this. And we talked beforehand, and we almost didn't. We maybe weren't even gonna bring it up today, but the problem is that neither of us really liked it that much. And for me, so Eddington kind of is like a comedy western thing that takes place during COVID, made by Ari Aster, and it's it's I mean, I kind of thought it was mostly just boring and not very
Yeah,
funny.
I agree. I only laughed a couple times in the movie. It's 2.5 hours long, and I found it to be an excruciating experience. I did not enjoy it at all. I read Hereditary. I thought it was great. I saw it twice in the theaters. I was like, hey, this Ari Aster guy, keep an eye out. This is very cool. Midsummer also really liked. I think I prefer Hereditary, but I thought Midsummer was very good. And then I saw Beau is Afraid, and I was like, there's really cool parts of this, but this is kind of a messy movie, but I still respected it. And I was still here for Ari Aster, but I think Eddington it broke me. I wanted to walk out several times. I found it like uh the it was just annoying to watch. It was like all the characters were just a caricature of the most annoying parts of COVID. Uh, but I don't think we can't get into spoilers really, but like the I don't know, I thought there were issues with characters doing certain things that didn't quite line up with the way their character was drawn out. I think there are parts of the movie that just didn't even need to be there, and they could have been less than 2.5 hours. Um,
Yeah,
I basically really didn't enjoy the movie. And it's not like I thought it was I don't know. People have issues with it makes fun of the left and the right, so that it's equating them or whatever. And I didn't even have a problem with the movie's basic message of like, oh, corporations have the power and they can and we fight amongst each other while corporations maintain all the control, that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, obviously that I have no problem with that. It was just the movie as a movie was was a miserable experience to sit through, and I kind of hated it. And I saw the Blank Check podcast. Shout out to the Blank Check podcast, one of my favorite podcasts. Ari Aster was on uh, their last episode about Miller's Crossing, and he mentioned that there's a part in Beau is Afraid, and he kind of mentioned I don't want to put words in his mouth, but you could find the clip, I guess, or whatever. But he basically says that there's a part that's just like a middle finger to the audience of like, oh, look, you're like thinking that there's a point to this and like this is a middle finger. And I'm like, oh yeah, this kind of makes sense why I don't like this guy's movies because uh he seems to have contempt for all the characters in his movies and contempt for the audience. And I don't I just didn't enjoy that at all. I felt like disrespected by the movie. I was like, really? This has to be 2.5 hours long, and you have to waste my time. So that's why I hated the movie so much, honestly. Even though there are good like Joaquin Phoenix, Pedro Pascal, Emma Stone, the whole there were a bunch of other people in the cast
Yeah.
too that were really good, like Emma Stone's mom and the black deputy, I think he is, and the
Yeah.
police. Like all the actors, honestly, do a really good job. Friggin' Austin Butler, even though his character probably didn't even have to be in the movie and it would have been fine, but he's kind of being like Russell Brand basically. And but I was just like, so they didn't do anything wrong, but I was like, oh man, it was brutal. I haven't really questioned walking out of a movie theater like that in quite a long time. And I just saw M3 2.0. I wanted to walk out of Eddington more than I wanted to walk out of M3 2.0. So that'll tell you
Hey,
something.
not to get into M3 because I actually kind of liked M3 and 2.0.
All right.
But
Yeah,
but
listen, that's beside the point.
but yeah, I felt pretty similar on Eddington. I don't think I quite had as strong hatred. I didn't like really want to like walk out of the theater, but I did not enjoy it. And it was very long, and I I thought like the first like 15 minutes or so, it's like, it's kind of interesting, right? There's like the whole mask stuff. There's like a lot of stuff that's like, oh, this is like, it feels like a
I
time
hated. I
capsule.
already hated. Sorry to cut you off. I
Oh,
hated
that's
the
all right.
mask stuff. Immediately the movie is like, oh, your mask is under your nose. I'm just now I'm rolling my eyes and I'm like, oh God, we have to go back to this. Oh my God, we're doing your mask is under your nose jokes and like, come on.
Yeah.
So immediately the movie already kind of didn't have me because I was just more annoyed by that than anything else.
Yeah.
But whatever. An interesting thing about the movie that could have been interesting is that Joaquin Phoenix's character is kind of like a bleeding heart conservative, which is like not a stereotype of conservatives. It's like, oh, you're the bleeding heart liberal. But the whole reason he's like, this guy shouldn't have to wear a mask. He has asthma. He can't breathe. Like, have some empathy for the guy. You know what I mean? And like, oh, that's kind of an interesting like character that you don't really see as within our stereotypes of how the left and the right or whatever. But then as the movie goes on, it just basically drops all that, and he's might as well be. I don't know. He just does whatever. I can't get into what happens in the
Yeah.
movie with spoiling things, but there are things that happen that his character makes large leaps that
Yeah.
don't seem to come from anywhere that made any sense to me.
Yeah. I'll say the beginning I didn't really hate the mask stuff at first. I thought it was kind of like an interesting time capsule for COVID times, but it got old really quick, honestly. I don't know if it's just that like we're too soon past COVID where like this stuff just still feels kind of like very fresh, very almost like uh too forward in our minds that like I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's like enjoyable as humor yet or anything. I don't know, whatever. But
I think the movie needs to touch grass because it seemed like it was just taking everything from the internet and from this is how people fought on the internet. This is how, but I mean, this is just basically things that we saw in the media and on social media during COVID. But I don't know. The movie didn't have any like empathy for like the characters were just all such caricatures that I just couldn't connect with them. I guess you know what I mean.
yeah, I definitely feel that. I'll say, there's one part in the movie that kind of feels like a descent to madness thing that happens alongside somebody having COVID. And I thought that was actually an interesting piece, although it wasn't actually that well developed in like that mix of things. And it was also a very kind of relatively quick piece of the 2.5 hour movie. And it was also not very in character of like, well, whatever. There was a lot of like things that I didn't think actually worked about it. But I thought like at that point in the movie, I kind of thought to myself, dang, I really wish I was sitting down to watch this movie. A movie about like descent to madness when somebody is like under the symptoms of COVID, right? And like I don't know, like I think that could be really interesting and really fascinating. And this was not that. And I honestly, like you said also with like the themes of like big corporations having all the power and stuff. Honestly, like I kind of left the movie not really knowing what to take out of it. Like I can kind of see that, I guess, with the big corporation stuff, but honestly, I left and I was just like, I, are we all just supposed to hate each other? Is that what this movie's asking us to do? I don't really understand. But one weird thing, and we're just ranting on our podcast here, but one weird thing that I find about this movie is people love this movie, which is great. If you are out there and you love this movie, I'm very happy that you went in and enjoyed it. But I am just curious on like, I guess I'm just curious on like where all the love is coming from, because a lot of the reviews I'm seeing are pretty short and not. I'm just curious, if you guys are out there and you guys did really enjoy this movie, or if you didn't like it too, let us know. Kind of like, where did you fall in it? Like what was going on in your mind? Did you resonate with it? Did you think it was funny? Because that's a big piece for me too. Is I just also a lot of it just felt boring because I didn't get the. I don't know if I just didn't get the jokes or I just thought they were like bland or not. I didn't know if they were jokes or not.
Yeah, there was one joke I remember that I actually thought was very funny, but
probably the only time I laughed in the theater. I think I know the one.
Yeah, okay, there you go. But like there are parts with Emma Stone's character where I'm like, okay, this character is interesting, but also she's kind of sidelined for most of the movie, and then also her entire situation is kind of like sad and fucked up, so it's not funny at all. Yeah. So I'm like, like there's just so many elements in this movie that it don't come together and like mesh at all to me. And like you were saying too about sort of the beginning of the movie and the end of the movie. If it was the end of the movie, if you could just cut an hour out of the beginning of the movie, and it honestly would probably be a lot better. And honestly, if you cut out Austin Butler and maybe like cut out Emma Stone's character and just make a different movie about Emma Stone's character, that's like better. But like, if you could have something that made more sense, but I feel like we had so much time with Joaquin Phoenix's character in particular, where I felt like at the beginning of the movie he was genuinely trying to do the right thing, but he was kind of a like dumbass, and I'm here for that. But then the second half of the movie completely goes against that, like what they've set up, at least from how I was seeing it. Yeah. So so I don't have a problem with the movie's politics necessarily. I just didn't think it was a good movie.
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think, again, we don't usually, I think I get Superman last time we actually did talk a lot about too. So we don't usually talk this much about movies that aren't our main features, but sometimes, we watch a new movie and like Superman, we had different opinions on. I think Eddington, we had very similar ones on. And, if you guys liked Eddington, I would love to hear kind of just a little bit more about why. I mean, not that you need to defend yourself or anything. I'm glad you enjoyed it, but I'm just curious why people are loving it so much.
Definitely. All right. Well, then, last thing I wanted to mention is a movie like / companion to an album that just came out. The new Quadeca album, Vanisher Horizon Scraper, is the title, and he put out a full like hour-long movie to go with it. It's basically it's basically a music video for each song in the album, and you watch it, but as a full experience, it's actually pretty awesome. Some of the songs with the visuals, it's more just cool visuals to match the song, and it's not. But other videos have some pretty cool stuff going on in it. It's all very like aquatic and nautical themed. And it's kind of just cool vibes for this. And I really like the album, and I thought the film was executed really well. So I would recommend that if anyone wants to watch something totally different. There's no real like narrative. I mean, you can interpret narrative and story and character and stuff, but it's very it's pretty like abstract, the visuals and all that. So it's not like there's skits in between songs where there's like dialogue or anything like that. It's just visuals to go with the music. But yeah,
nice.
It's on YouTube.
That sounds awesome. Nice. Sweet. Well, so those are the things that we've watched recently. I mean, we've watched a lot more. As always, you guys can jump onto our letterbox. Our individual ones are linked on the podcast. On the podcast letterbox, you guys know we only put the things that we watch for the show. But you can always jump onto either of our individual ones to look at other stuff we've seen.
Yeah. Mind Your Movies, all one word, I believe. Or maybe Mind Your Movies podcast, all one word. I can't remember now. But either way. Just
You'll find us. It's linked in the description too. Yeah. So wherever you're watching this, all of our stuff's linked in the description. We've got our Letterboxd, we've got our Blue Sky, or Reddit now.
Oh yeah.
Tons of
have we mentioned the Reddit?
I think we mentioned it last time, but yeah.
All right. r/Mind Your Movies podcast, right?
r/just Mind Your Movies, because it doesn't even need to be a space just about the podcast, right? So jump on there and chat about movie stuff. So and encourage your friends to.
That'd be a good place to post your Eddington thoughts.
Yes, please. Yeah. Tell us how wrong we are about Eddington, or tell us how right we are about Eddington. Anyways.
All right. Now we're doing After Hours and Do the Right Thing. This is a difficult title portmanteau to make. So I think we're doing After the Right Hours.
That's right.
Which sucks, but it is what it is. So we're going to start with After Hours.
Yeah. That was a hard portmanteau, but After Hours was your pick, Shane. So
hell yeah.
Want to talk us through it?
Yeah, sure. After Hours, directed by Martin Scorsese, came out in 1985 after he made King of Comedy, and he kind of needed I think he had kind of some personal issues, and he needed something reliable to go with this movie. He wanted to make The Last Temptation of Christ, but was having trouble making it, and he kind of made this. He didn't write it. It's let me see who the writer is. I forget his name off the top of my head, but it's written by Joseph Minion. And yeah, it's basically Griffin Dunne plays the main character, Paul Hackett, and he's a word processor, and he works sort of a boring office job, has kind of a boring life, and he goes out to a diner for dinner, and he's reading oh gosh, what's the book? I can't remember off the top of my head, but it doesn't really matter. And woman, Marcy, talks to him about the book, and they have a conversation, and basically he gets roped into a crazy night. It's all basically one night, sort of a less than 24-hour period of just one crazy night, and this average guy getting like way in over his head with the chaos of New York City after dark, after hours. And yeah, there's a bunch of wacky characters, and it's kind of it's just a fun, energetic comedy. And yeah, this is, I think it was a really underrated movie in Martin Scorsese's filmography. And I think over recent years it has gotten a lot more of a cult following of people who really love it. But yeah, I think it's all in Manhattan, I believe. They really shot it in like Soho and in these areas of New York. That this was the 80s, so it was very different than now. But yeah, this was my like third time seeing it, and I think it's gotten better each time. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, it's okay, but I don't really fully get it. And then I think it gets funnier on each viewing. And yeah, so have you seen the movie? Had you seen the movie before? What was your experience, right?
This was my first time seeing it, and right away I loved it. This was really cool, but I would say that the humor isn't really what sold me. I thought there was some parts that were really funny, but the part that I honestly was super sold by just how like tense and like nightmarish it got. Like, it gets like really kind of almost like paranoid-esque, but kind of justifiably paranoid, I guess. But like there's a lot of like crazy dark nightmarish stuff that goes on, and that part, it was like so tense and fun at the same time. That felt weird, but was like definitely worked. And I think for that I loved it, and the humor was still good. I did think there was some good humor. The speeding taxi scene at the very beginning, hilarious.
Yes, but it's more of a dark comedy. I don't know if wacky is the right word, but eccentric maybe is a better word. There are all these eccentric characters, and yeah, he does get stuck in some kind of a nightmare situation.
Yeah. But yeah, he just like bounces back and forth between everything, and it's really weird. And all the characters you meet are super weird and fascinating and interesting. And it's kind of interesting because like every time that he he kind of just wants to get home at this point, right? Like, so he goes out to this date in Soho, and he's lost his money, so he can't get home. Actually, he still has enough for the subway, right? He's trying to like leave his date because it didn't go well, and he can't
He has like,
actually use the subway because they just like an hour before increased the price.
yeah, yep,
And the guy will not budge. So he is trying to get home every which way possible. He ends up in like, I don't know, 5 different people's apartments, maybe, or something like that. It's crazy.
yeah, probably something like that. Should I don't know what the best way to talk about the movie is. Should we go through the story and talk about each part, or should we talk about? I don't know. Is that the best way to? Also, I have the title of the book,
What is it?
Tropic of Cancer by Henry Miller.
Nice. So there you go. Nice.
But also, one thing I want to say, Griffin Dunne, one of the first shots of the movie, great unibrow. Strong unibrow that you don't see in movies nowadays. Everyone, you shave the unibrow, but I think it's a great choice to give this character a unibrow because it makes him like he's just an average Joe. Like he's not he doesn't look like a movie star. Like he just looks like an average guy. You just see it, and I think that makes his character like more relatable to where anyone can put themselves in his shoes and be in this sort of nightmare,
Chaotic. Yeah.
anxiety fueled nightmare.
Yeah. And it's interesting at the beginning, too. It's like, you know, he like meets that lady while he's reading the book. And then he's like, he calls her and she's like, yeah, you can come over. And he looks at the clock and it's like, I don't know if it's like just before midnight or something.
Yeah,
It's like pretty late. And he's like,
yeah,
and he's kind of like debating over it, but he goes, right? And so like you can kind of imagine, I think a lot of people have been in that situation where it's like, I know I work tomorrow, but maybe I should just go and do this one thing, right? Or go and whatever. And then I don't think you could ever imagine yourself getting stuck in this, but it's almost like a dream type thing at first, where it's like, oh, you got work the next day, but you're getting to go on this great date and all this stuff. And then you end up meeting this other weird kind of lady that you help make a sculpture with, and things get a little weird. But and and so it kind of feels like almost like a dreamy thing, where it's like maybe like the dream of people who, your job is just like going in and you're the word processor, right? All this stuff. And I can imagine like the dream is that at night you go out and do something exciting and fun, but probably it like this again doesn't really last as a dream. It turns into a nightmare, but I can imagine it kind of starts with that kind of dream excitement for the person.
yeah. And I think this is like a perfect New York City movie because this movie could pretty much, at least in the U.S., I think this movie could pretty much only happen in New York. Like
Yeah.
just the the insane characters and also just people being up at all hours of the night, and also I don't know. I think New York is like, well, I don't know. Maybe you could set it in other cities. You probably could, but it would be different because New York is like so. I don't know. You can kind of walk anywhere, but you're kind of I don't know. They're in kind of a weird location. Like it feels like they're like siphoned off from like civilization almost somehow,
Yeah.
which
Well,
is
that's
kind
one
of
of the
fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the funny things to me, living in Boston. It's like Boston, you can literally walk anywhere. You can walk from like Seaport to Cambridge. It's not a great walk, but like you can do it. It doesn't even take you all day. But in like he's talking in the movie, even it's like even to walk from like one part of Manhattan to they're in the lower Manhattan area in Soho, and it's like you can't do that, right? Like it's he. That's why he has to keep going around all these like awful ways to try to get home. Because it's like at one point he even says he's gonna walk, and the lady's like, "Oh no, you can't. That's crazy," like. And I feel like New York is kind of like so big and so diverse in its neighborhoods and boroughs that they all feel so different and kind of isolated because you really can't like just kind of at least walk between them and through them.
Yeah, I think it was also good we did After Hours and Do the Right Thing because After Hours is all in Manhattan and Do the Right Thing is all in Brooklyn, and it's very different parts of New York. These movies are only a few years apart, but I don't know if there's a single person of color in After Hours. I think it's just a bunch of white people,
Yeah, that
right?
could be true. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just a bunch of crazy white people. But But yeah, I mean, also with all these characters, I think it's interesting that all these characters like they have their dreams. Like they have a reason they want to be in New York, but it's like when they're at the diner at the beginning, there's the guy that's dancing, like he's the cashier, the
Like a
greeter at
host
the
or something. Yeah.
yeah, something like that. And he is like dancing and stuff. It's like, oh well, this guy wants to be a dancer, but he has to work at this diner like overnight to pay the bills. And that's kind of like the everyone is kind of like that in New York a little bit. Like people, or at least, well,
Yeah.
it's interesting because this is in Manhattan, and this is also a bunch of white people. So it's like
Right.
maybe, but also, but then you see Do the Right Thing. This is just, it's not a bunch of people who've come from other places and have big dreams. It's just people trying to get through day to day, pretty much. Like it's a lot more, I don't know, normal, I guess, in that way. It's not like people trying to be big stars or anything like that.
Right. Yeah, but in this it really is like like even the lady that's making the sculptures, that's clearly what she wants to do, but she actually is selling like the bagel paperweights and stuff. Like that's kind of
Yeah.
what how she can actually make money. Um but yeah, that is fascinating because in I guess Soho, I don't know too much about like the boroughs of New York to be honest, but I would guess it seems that Soho is probably like the people go there chasing the dream of the artsy life type of thing. Is what it seems
So
like in this movie.
I watched an interview with oh my god, it's on the Criterion disc. It's Martin Scorsese talking to a lady who's like a pretty iconic like New York person, but I forget her name off the top of my head. Sorry if whatever people can comment it. But she they talk about Soho at the time, and it was very much like run down and like shitty and cheap, and that's why artists could afford like the lofts
Mm.
because it was so cheap. So it was kind of more of a sketchy place to live at the time, I think, which you can kind of see by also fucking Cheech and Chong are in this movie,
Yeah.
and they're they're like burglars,
Yeah.
but it's also just like I guess
Crazy.
that shows it's not the best neighborhood where there are just burglars just going around, but it does have such a pretty diverse like well it's diverse in that there are gay people in the movie, which is kind of interesting too. Like there's like he's at the bar and you see there's like the two like gay biker like they looks like they came out of the movie Cruising,
Yeah, it
and
does.
they're like making out at the bar or whatever, and there's like the bartender lives at a place where apparently it's just all gay guys in his apartment building, and but yeah, I guess that's I don't know, that's just a part of the movie, I guess.
Yeah. And I think that I would guess that that probably is pretty accurate to the time in New York, right in that area. Um, but uh,
But yeah, I mean, also I wanted to say the cinematography in this movie is like subtle but really really nice.
yeah,
There are a lot of like subtle. I mean, obviously Martin Scorsese is pretty like big and bold filmmaker. He's not like a super subtle filmmaker all the time. But I feel like in this movie, it's shot by Michael Ballhaus, and there are a lot of simple movements of like we'll be over the shoulder and then we shift over to a two shot, or we're just sort of on a dolly like going along the street while he like turns a corner. Pretty like simple but very effective, and I feel like it keeps the pace and the tension and stuff like that. And there are some like there's like the shot of the keys coming down and like they're coming right at the camera,
yeah,
um, which also
yeah,
reveals a little about his character, about him being sort of cowardly, if that's
yeah.
the
He's
right word.
maybe not so like eccentric or ambitious in like the excitement way, right? Like he's not jumping
He,
out to catch the keys and to storm in or anything. He just backs away from the keys.
yeah, he's kind of like a milk toast like nerd,
Yeah,
and he's in this world of eccentric people.
yeah, yeah. Kind of a fish out of water in a way.
Yeah, yeah, he is. And
But
that's
also,
interesting that you can just be in the same city. He doesn't have to. It's not a person from. It's not Beetlejuice. New York people go to the small town, or vice versa. It's just all within New York itself.
right, which is another thing. Like, I mean, I think that does happen in other cities. I'm comparing it to Boston just because I live in Boston, but uh, I can think back to like Providence. Definitely has some diversity as like in neighborhoods and everything too. But generally, I think like New York is just so so much that, right? At least it is so iconically that, even if other places are the same, it's definitely the place for that in America, right? So I think it makes total sense to film this here, even if like, yeah, maybe you could do it in like San Francisco or Boston or something, but it kind of just works in New York because I feel like it's so iconic. Um,
Yeah, definitely. And isn't it the city that never sleeps? Is that New York? Right?
yeah, that could be right.
Or is that supposed to be Vegas? I
I
don't
think that
know.
might be Vegas, but
Maybe it is Vegas. Well, isn't
um,
there a name for New York?
yeah. What do people New York?
Well, the Big Apple is the
Yeah,
is this one. But anyway. But yeah, the movie all takes place very late night. Like so it's like 11:30 when he gets invited over to Marcy and Kiki's place. And then at 1:40 a.m. Marcy, they like go into Marcy's room and she's like, "Hey, I'm gonna take a shower real quick." And he looks and it's 1:40 in the morning. Um,
yeah, crazy.
yeah. And that's also when like Kiki is just like topless and she's like, "Is she back?" He's like, "Oh, yeah." He's like taken aback by it. But yeah, it just adds to the fish out of water. There's so much,
Yeah.
just fish out of water is a good way to describe it.
Also, sorry, I looked it up. The city that never sleeps is a nickname for New York City. So I was wrong. You were right. And now I have egg in my face.
There you go. All right.
Anyways, um, I also actually wanted to say something about the key shot real quick
Oh
when they're
yeah.
throwing the keys. Um, I read an interesting thing about so there's a POV shot of the keys falling to him. So there's the shot of him looking up and you see the keys falling, but there's also a shot of the keys from their
Mhm.
perspective falling, which is really cool. But also, apparently, I mean, this is like 1985, right? So not the most sophisticated stuff, right? For cinematography rigs and everything. So apparently they like put the camera on like a plank of wood and attached a bunch of strings, a bunch of ropes, and it was like pretty complicated, I'm sure, to set it all up like this. So they would stop right before they hit the guy, and and it
Nice.
worked, which is good. The guy didn't get hit, but it was so out of focus and like so blurry that it wasn't usable. So they ended up having to do like a crane shot for that, which is kind of cool.
That makes sense. You'd think a crane might be a little bit better than a plank of wood,
I love
but
that they're just like, let's just drop this at him. And
I would think, I guess it's faster if you drop it, but I'd think you could just start on his face and then pull up
and
and
then
then reverse it would probably be better.
yeah,
But I don't know.
what I was reading said that they ended up having to do a quote terrifyingly fast end quote crane shot. So that I mean like probably still as scary as the plank falling towards you, I guess. But
That's funny. It's interesting. I mean, there are also like when he's in the cab and it's going really really fast.
yeah,
They like over crank it like old school. It looks like a silent movie of like a car going really really fast.
yeah.
It's kind of a cool effect.
In a way, the movie is very like Keaton esque in the fact that like there's just like this whole string of coincidence. I mean, one that shot right, but two like there's like a huge string of coincidences and like everything's kind of it's not really slapsticky. It's the thing, but like one thing leads to another and then another and then another and this guy can never sleep, and that feels like something that would happen in a Buster Keaton thing.
Yeah, I could see that. I could see Buster Keaton's face, like
Yeah,
just reacting to things in this movie. That'd be funny.
yeah,
But Buster is like so talented and
right.
acrobatic, whereas Paul is just a schlub, basically.
Yeah, that's like Keaton would be doing something like actual like doing something physically interesting when these things would be happening, and that doesn't happen. But
Yeah. So another part. I mean, what is there anything else? Any notes you wanted to mention in particular?
um, well, no, I mean, he, so well, just jump back to where you were. Sorry, I interrupted, but he
No, it's okay.
he leaves in the rainstorm because he thinks that Marcy might have like I I guess the issue. Well, she's kind of weird. I
Well,
guess the whole night.
so this is another interesting thing. So they go to to a diner at 2:15
Oh
a.m.
yeah.
because she's tired and she wants a coffee. Or oh no, the marks on the inner thigh. Is that what
Yeah.
you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he sees that and he's kind of freaked out. And then she Marcy tells Paul that she was sexually assaulted once, and that's the
Rough.
probably yeah, that's a weird thing where it's like, is this supposed to be funny? Is this
That might be
I
the
don't know.
dark part of the dark comedy. I think this. I don't know. I definitely.
I think the I was when I meant dark comedy, I just meant like because it's such a nightmare. It's
Yeah.
like this guy is suffering in a way, but we're laughing at him because we empathize in a way.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know if the I don't know if that part was supposed to be funny or not. I feel like it might have just been to like kind of tell you that the guy is feeling uncomfortable. Maybe like
Exactly. But then she's like, at the end, she almost has a punchline where she says, "Oh my God, it lasted 6 hours. It was actually my ex-boyfriend. It was horrible, or whatever." But then she's like, "Well, actually, I slept through most of it," and it's like it
I don't
felt
remember that.
like that's what she at the very end, and it felt like a punchline just in the way it was structured and everything. But then I'm
Yeah.
like, so that scene in particular, I think aged the worst of anything in the movie.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't remember that. That's not great.
Yeah. But then I guess they go to the diner because also he's probably like, he says like, let's get out of here, I think, which
Yeah.
makes sense. But yeah, that's definitely an awkward
Yeah, and then
situation to be put in, I guess. I don't know.
she and the diner guy like wink at each other.
Yeah, that's Dick Miller. Dick Miller's in this movie. He says after hours.
Oh yeah, that's right. He says
Yeah.
things are different after hours or something.
Yeah, exactly. Because he gives him the coffee for free. And then, yeah, it seems like she's like there all the time, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah. Um.
So then at the diner, she tells him about that Franklin is her ex-husband who owns the apartment. So she keeps telling him all this baggage basically that he's like so uh so
Yeah.
then they go back and he like kisses her in the hallway and then she starts crying and then they start smoking a joint. He tells her it's not actually weed or he doesn't it could be I don't know oregano or something, who knows. And then he basically just like leaves.
Yeah. Yeah. He tells her to go find those paperweights that he came here for, like very aggressively. It was.
Yes, it's a little weird. There's this moment and a moment later where he gets like angry all of a sudden, and it seems to come out of the blue, kind of. And I wondered if it was just like them stitching together two different takes, or if it was
Hmm.
just whatever it was. Uh, but yeah, he gets like kind of like pissed off, and yeah, tells her to find the paperweights, and then just leaves without saying anything.
Yeah. Um. Yeah, and then it's like downpouring. He has to try to get to and then this is when he goes to the subway. They increase the fare, so he can't do that. So he goes to
Yeah,
the bar.
yeah. I was just gonna say he has like 97 cents, and he went from 75 cents to $1.50 like at
Yeah.
midnight. Yeah,
And he gets to the bar, uh, and I guess he learns that. Is this when he learns that the bartender is Marcy's? No, that's later. That's way later.
it's later, yeah. But this is when he just like wants to stay there, and he meets Terry Garr, uh, who's the waitress at the bar.
And then also the bartender offers to give him money for the subway, which is really
Yes,
nice. And then he can't open the stupid cash register, and he's like aggressively
yeah.
banging on the stupid thing. And he says, "You know what? If you go to my apartment, you turn on the burglar alarm and whatever, you come back here, I'll give you the money, right?" And then they
Mhm.
swap keys as like collateral. And he goes to the apartment. He floods the toilet, trying to flush paper towels, by the way, which is crazy. Who does
I
that?
get, but there was barely anything in there. I don't know
Like
how
you
it
don't
flooded.
flush paper towels.
I mean, it was so few. You'd think they would go down. The poor guy. I mean, jeez.
I did find it funny that was never brought up again because
Right.
later on the guy brings up the fact that he never came. So he leaves the guy's apartment and it takes him forever to get back to the bar because he
Well,
ends up running into the guys that are stealing the statue. He thinks they're stealing the statue that what's her
Kiki.
name? Kiki.
Kiki sold it to him.
Yeah. And yeah, crazy so far.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
And a couple of things. When he's at the bar, we see there's the picture of the shark biting off the guy's dick.
yes, yeah,
Yeah. Which is like I think there's something there about emasculation and like he's kind of trying to get laid the whole movie, but he can't. And he's kind of sexually frustrated. I heard I think there's I don't know, you could probably look this up, but there's like I think I heard this on the Rewatchables podcast about After Hours, which I listened to maybe I think they did it recently, so whenever it came out, maybe like a month ago. But apparently, like Martin Scorsese told Griffin Dunne to like not have sex while they were filming the movie because he wanted his character to have that like desperation or like kind of I don't know frustration type of a vibe. And apparently there was like a weekend where he did get laid, and then the next on Monday they were trying to film, and Scorsese immediately was like, "Did you get laid this weekend or something like that?" And he like sussed it out immediately.
That's funny. Yeah, I
But
mean, the whole movie feels like there's so much sexual frustration in this movie. I mean,
yeah,
it's crazy.
yes. So there's that, which is also like it's just a weird imagery, but the fact that it's there is like you think there must be you want to interpret it. You know what I mean? And then also I feel like so when Marcy is talking about her ex-husband, do you remember this bit about him being obsessed with the Wizard of Oz?
Yeah,
And he says like surrender Dorothy every time he comes.
yeah, that was weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then at this point there's a point where he's just is like I just want to get home. And that's literally the Wizard of Oz. So the movie is kind of a Wizard of Oz story of
That's funny.
Paul getting stuck in this fantasy land and all he wants to do is get home and he just can't the whole time.
That's funny. I didn't put that together. That's neat.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, this is also where we meet Cheech and Chong.
Mm-hmm.
And we also meet Kiki's boyfriend, I guess. And yeah, she's like tied up, and he thinks that she was tied up by the burglars. And uh, he's like, oh my God, this is so intricate. Are these guys sailors?
Crazy.
And yeah, it's just another example of him being out of his element, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And
I mean,
also, these people are like kinky and having sex, and he can't.
yeah, yeah. There's so much sex around him, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. With like
Yeah, there
all
is.
the kinkiness.
Yeah, there's the guys making out at the bar next to him. There's like, yeah, there is sex all around, but he can't. He's not in on it.
Yeah. Um, and then I mean, he finds Marcy's dead.
Yeah, overdosed on sleeping pills.
Also a dark moment of the movie.
Yeah, yeah,
And so he hangs up signs. He calls the police, and then he realizes he has to go get his keys, and he never went back to go get his keys. So he hangs up signs that say "dead person" with arrows pointing into the room.
yeah, yep. That's funny. And then the bar is closed because the guy closed it to go see, and but the waitress is still there, Terry Garr, and he goes back. And this is an interesting part of the movie because Terry Garr is like this 60. She's like, so I looked it up, and at the time of filming, she was like about 40 years old, and Griffin Dunne was about 30. So it's only a 10-year age difference, but she's like this 60s flower child, like five. She has the beehive hair. So she's like a very 60s thing. And he's like embarrassed by that. He's like, oh my God, this is terrible. Like, get out of here. And there's really nothing wrong with her. Like, it's kind of, but I guess just in the 80s, that 60s thing was like so out of style, out of that it was like seen as like, oh my God, she's like an old lady. Like, ugh.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, he's kind of mean. He's kind of mean to Terry Garr. She seems
Yeah.
like a nice. She seems like a pretty nice lady. I mean, until later, I guess. But if he was nicer to her,
Oh yeah.
maybe. Yeah, she starts. She puts up the signs, the wanted signs. Yeah,
Yeah. But
he kind of
and
deserves
also
it.
yeah,
though.
I mean he was mean to her. Yeah, exactly. Like you know, she thought he was a burglar.
Good. Yeah.
Which
But
is
it's
kind
interesting. Like he. Sorry, we keep.
No, that's right. Yeah.
But he's trying to have sex the whole movie, and it seems like she's like into him, but he's like pushes her away. Is like, no chance. But I guess I don't know. She's old because she's older.
It could be. And it could also, I mean, I feel like at this part, he's also like just trying to get home. Now,
Yeah,
you
he's
know, like,
exasperated. He just saw a dead body.
Yeah, and it's probably, I mean, it's got to be like 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning at this point.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Um, so like, I think and the guy could be back any minute with the keys, and that's actually what happens, right? He hears the door opening or the gate opening, so he runs down and he says, "I'll be right back." And this is actually a big thing. He every time that he's leaving somebody, he's saying, pretty much every time he's like, "I'll be right back," and then something happens, and there's this crazy string of things that makes it so that he can't be right back, which kicks him in the butt later. But
Yeah, definitely. And then there's a funny joke too. He goes back to see the bartender, and he's like, "Oh well, I'll just leave, go home. What's the worst she's gonna do? Kill
yeah,
herself?" And then right after that, he gets the call that Marcy is dead. And it turns out that he is her boyfriend, and they had a fight or whatever. And uh,
and this is kind of
yeah,
when the coincidences start unraveling, because before this, it doesn't really seem like anything's all that connected, but um, but we start learning that the people in the van are actually burglars. We see them actually burgling, and they're talking about how the one thing they bought, the statue, was taken from them, which is just kind of funny. But and then everyone starts thinking he's the burglar because when he went to go check on the guy's house, they thought he was a burglar, and he really didn't try to solve. He didn't really try to clear that up at all. He just kind of was like a jerk to them too, But and so as all this starts happening, all these coincidences start disintegrating or revealing themselves. I guess like even the waitress lady has one of the bagel paperweights, which was funny. She tries to give it to him.
yes, yep, one of Kiki's paperweights, and he ends up at the punk club
Yeah, the Berlin
to yeah Berlin something,
Club
uh,
Berlin.
Club Berlin, and it's like a punk club when Kiki is there with her boyfriend, and he almost gets like given a mohawk, and they shave part of his like a little nick in his hair. It's like just another situation of him being out of place with sort of I don't know. I mean, he's kind of just I guess he's just an average guy. You could kind of put him in any time period, and he would just be like be there in
Yeah,
kind of a way. But there are all these like subcultures that are very like 80s, I guess, that he is not involved in, that he's uh yeah, he doesn't
experience.
fit in. He's a fish out of water. I keep saying it.
Yeah,
That's the whole idea of the movie, I guess.
yeah, and so he keeps running into more people. He ends up running to what's her name? The mom from Home Alone. Just got funny.
Catherine O'Hara. But
Catherine
also
O'Hara.
before that, there's a Martin Scorsese cameo at the Punk Club.
Oh,
He's like doing the spotlight,
oh, that's funny.
and
That's
yeah,
funny.
it's like right at the end they like pan up to him. So there you go.
Nice.
But yes, Catherine O'Hara in this movie. I'll tell you what, Catherine O'Hara in this movie is fucking annoying. Her character, oh my god, I hated her. That he's trying to call the number and she's doing the thing, saying the wrong numbers while he's trying to remember the phone number,
Yeah,
and she's just awful. Uh, yeah, she's the only
yeah,
character in this movie where I'm like, this person's horrible.
yeah. And she clearly doesn't
and they're and
understand
they're Cheech and Chong are criminals burglarizing people, and they seem more likable than her.
that. Yeah, she like clearly doesn't get it too. He's like, "Can you stop?" And she just keeps going. And he gets really frustrated, and she finally offers to just drive him home in her ice cream truck. And then she's walking by one of the posters that the waitress hung up
Julie.
earlier. Julie hung up, and she rips it off, and she storms in, and then she starts blowing the whistle so everyone will come, and he has to start running away. And this also, I think, around here is when I started to notice that the score was really, really awesome. I don't think I really noticed it until kind of the chase moments, but I'm sure it was good everywhere on a rewatch, maybe. But these moments, I was like, oh dang, this guy gets it. That
Yeah.
was Howard Shore, the
Yep.
score, so pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. And this is also one of my favorite jokes in the movie is when he runs away onto the rooftop and he looks into through a window and he sees a wife like kill her husband. He says, I'll probably get blamed for that too."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He's very self aware at that moment, right, of what's happening. Um, and
And
this poor guy just can't get home.
yeah, I think this is when he does the screaming into the sky, like, what have I done to deserve this? I was wondering too, like, if this is like a story of Job, kind of like if it's inspired by the book of Job in the Bible, because there is like also the movie starts at his job and then it ends
Yeah,
at his job. I don't know if
Job.
Job and Job. I don't know if that's supposed to be a connection or if I'm just making a
Yeah, yeah,
connection where it doesn't exist. But he is this like guy who just is put through all these trials and tribulations, and he's kind of like wondering why, like, what have I done to deserve this?
right. Yeah, it
It's
is
like
kind
an
of. Yeah, yeah.
it's like an existential terror.
Yeah, I like the idea of the Book of Job there, but I kind of thought in the moment of like a labyrinth thing, right? Like he's just running around a little labyrinth, right? He's every turn that he makes is the wrong turn, and the person actually can't help him, so he has to run back around, and he's like a little rat that hasn't been programmed yet to actually get to the right place, get to the cheese. Um, but but yeah, I
Yeah, I
like
think
the Book of Job thing. That's cool. Could be.
maybe I don't know, but I did also notice the score around this time. Like it's sort of like a dreamy, like synthy score. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And this is also like around the time where he goes home with a gay guy who's look. I think either the guy was looking for a gay prostitute or he is a gay prostitute, and then or I think he's just a gay guy who thinks Paul is a prostitute.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. And yeah, kind of weird interactions in the apartment there.
It's kind of funny. He's just so exasperated, wants to get home. He's like explained how insane the night's been, and the guy is kind of just listening, like, I was just trying to get my dick sucked, man.
Yeah, and he's annoyed at the end too. He's like, dude, just get out, get out. And kind of maybe also having some of that sexual frustration that's going on, you know?
Maybe, yeah. It seems like that guy is like a closeted gay guy. That was my kind
even
of
more sexual frustration.
yeah. Well, that's why he's probably like going out in the like 4 a.m. like looking, secretly trying to do that.
Yeah. And then he ends up going back to Club Berlin because he's in the diner to meet up with the bartender, and
The fucking Tom, the bartender, he fucks him over.
yeah, he says, I'll go get your keys, I'll be right back. He walks out to go get the keys. Everyone's outside, and he's like, oh yeah, he's right in here. And then so he has to run, and he ends up back in Club Berlin because some lady gave him a Club Berlin invite only pass or something. He goes, there's like nobody else there, which is hilarious, other than this one lady, June. And she helps him hide by plastering him into a statue, like kind of what we saw earlier of the statue, right?
Yep.
Crazy.
And yeah, it's sort of his hands are on his head, like he looks like he's having the worst night of his life. Like it's just like dread and terror. But it's so funny, like describing it all these ways, but also it's so hilarious. I think there's just something that I love about comedies where it's like you can relate with the main character and like their suffering is, but you just have to laugh at it, I guess. But it's sort of like an empathetic laughter of like, oh man, like
yeah. Again, I mean, I think that's part of what really got me into the movie right away. This watching it was just like the kind of darkness that surrounds the humor and the comedy is like legitimately tense and interesting. And like when he's getting plastered in, it's actually kind of terrifying because he's like, you can stop now. And she's like, no, I'm gonna keep going. And I was like, is he dying in there? And then of course she says, I'll be right back. And she's just gonna go check something. And she turns the light off. Like she's not going back for a little bit. And then the place gets burglarized and they steal the statue, which is of course him.
Yeah, Neil and Pepe. They're pretty strong because they pull him out of like basically like a sewer grate, or it looks like almost, and they put him in the back seat, and then they go around a corner real fast. He flies out and he blaster breaks, and now he's back in front of his job.
Yep, he just goes in, plaster all over himself. He's torn to he looks like shit, and he just sits down at the computer, ready to type.
Yep, it says the computer tells him like, "Good morning, Paul."
Yeah,
and that's the end of the movie.
He's crazy.
He's kind of like reborn, maybe at the end. I don't know. Out of his shell. I don't know. Is he a new person? What do you think, or is he just?
Yeah, there's probably something there. I mean, he's definitely changed. they talk earlier on about like scars and stuff too, and Kiki's very proud to not have any scars, and there's that whole thing, and maybe this is a way for him to come out changed, right? He does have those scars from that night, maybe in a darker sense, right? If we're thinking in a darker way, but also just like the idea of like breaking out of the shell, literally, right? Maybe kind of introvert at the beginning.
Maybe. I'll tell you what, if this happened to me, I probably would never go out again. I'd
Yeah,
be like, my
lock
bedtime is
yourself up.
10 p.m. I don't leave the house after 10 p.m.
Yeah, yeah, crazy. I don't know. What do you think about the symbolism there?
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. Like he goes, I guess it is like the Wizard of Oz, right? He gets just sent back to real life. And he's just experienced this crazy thing. But I don't know. I guess it is kind of a classic movie ending of like, well, what the fuck do I do now? Like you had this crazy experience, and now you're just out of it. But I don't know. He's still kind of alone. Like who's gonna believe this? Like what does he
Yeah.
do from here? I don't know.
Well, and he's also like covered in plaster and stuff, but it's kind of like just bright, you know,
White.
dust and whatever, right? Like white dust and everything. And you can compare that to like a cloud, right? Maybe it was just a dream. I would hate that, but
That would suck. That would suck.
that would be possible.
But there is a lot of dreamy elements of the movie.
Yeah, I mean, again, right? It feels like a nightmare, right? So, if you told me this movie was just a dream, I could understand it. I wouldn't like it. I don't like that as an ending of a movie, but
Hey, it is Wizard of Oz, right?
well,
It was all a dream.
did have every
Yeah.
literary trope gets one good use.
Yeah, I guess so. All right.
Yeah,
That's
pretty
the whole
crazy,
movie, pretty
fun.
much. I feel like we talked about it. It was, I mean,
Yeah,
great movie.
yeah, awesome, dark, funny, crazy. Just everything that happens to this poor guy is for our entertainment.
Yes.
How do we feel about that?
And
Is that good for us?
yeah,
Do
I
we
think
feel
so.
good that we just forced this guy to go through all this?
Well, yeah, he's fake. It's okay.
Well,
I think I think there is. I don't know. I just really love the imagery of the movie of him with his hands on his head and this sort of dark comedy of you know of suffering.
yeah,
And I think it's pretty just fantastic. Yeah.
yeah, definitely. I 100% agree. I think
I'm glad you liked it. I'm glad I picked a good one.
yeah, my first time through it, and I'll tell you what, I'm just gonna jump right in and say 5 stars. Movie
Yeah,
rocks.
hell yeah. All right. I also gave it 5 stars this time. At first I gave it 4.5, but I said, you know what? I think it deserves 5 stars. It's a really fantastic movie.
Hell yeah, yeah, it was great. Tons of fun. I can totally see myself rewatching this a bunch. And yeah, hopefully, if you guys just rewatch this for the episode, or if it's your first time, hopefully you guys felt similar. That it was pretty
Yeah,
awesome.
definitely. Do you have a rating recap for this movie or?
I do. Yeah, it's got 7.6 out of 10 on IMDb, 90% on Rotten Tomatoes, and 87% critic score, and 4.1 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So, all pretty good. Brings it to an 8.375 out of 10 average. I guess the low ball there is actually IMDb, which is kind of interesting. But
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, it's a pretty
Not-
well respected movie.
yeah, 7.6 is still good anyways. But yeah, pretty well respected. It's is it? It might be like Scorsese's last non like biopic or something movie that he's made so far. Is that right? Something like that.
No, that
No.
can't be right. I mean, he's made like so many movies he hasn't made all biopics since 1985. That would be insane. He did Shutter Island. That's not a biopic.
Oh yeah. What the hell am I thinking of? Hold on.
I have no idea. Bringing Out the Dead, The
Jump
Departed,
back onto the
Hugo.
Wikipedia.
I don't know. Is Casino a biopic? I
Oh,
think so.
most recent film that is not an adaptation or biopic. So I guess most
Oh,
like I guess you maybe not original. I guess isn't the right word, but so I forgot about the adaptation piece there. But
okay. I see what you're saying.
which makes a lot more sense because yeah, he's done it a lot. But yeah, kind of crazy.
Yeah, that does make sense. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I don't think of. It's interesting with the adaptation thing because, like Stanley Kubrick, like almost all of his movies are based on a book. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
some directors just that's how they they operate. But yeah, Scorsese's never been like a big writer director. He's
Right.
a lot of his movies are written by other people.
Yeah, even this is written by someone else, right? So
Yeah. So I don't know. It's I'm just looking. I mean, he's credited as a writer on a, a few of his. I mean, really only like six of his movies: Goodfellas, Killers of the Flower Moon, Casino, Silence, Mean Streets, and Age of Innocence. So for a guy who has like 30 something movies, that's pretty few.
yeah, very
Yeah.
few. Cool. Well,
All right.
pretty
There
awesome.
we go. That's our first Scorsese talked about on the show, and then I'm sure there will be more.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, we almost did Taxi Driver actually. I almost picked Taxi Driver. I think you'd even talked about Taxi Driver, but I only didn't do it because I had just seen it like kind of recently again. Um, and I don't know. I don't know if I even it was like so recent that I don't know if I would have rewatched it for the episode or just kind of like gone back in my thoughts. So
Yeah,
nice to pick something.
yeah, I get that. And After Hours, a little lighter viewing than Taxi Driver. So there you
Yeah. I don't know. It looks pretty funny too, you know?
go. Talking to me. Talking to me. All right. Well, from one iconic New York filmmaker to another, we got Do the Right Thing, directed by Spike Lee.
Also in the 80s. This is 1989. So
Yes.
our last episode was a decades episode, and this one kind of could have been. But
Yeah. And this one is written and directed by Spike Lee.
That's right. That's right. And I think is it his third film?
Yep.
Third feature. And yeah, so this is about a I guess it's like takes place during a heat wave in a Brooklyn neighborhood. And there's a like an Italian immigrant owned pizza shop where kind of the center of all this stuff is happening. But the movie, I mean, really, the movie's all about just kind of like dissecting kind of the prejudices and like tensions, I guess, that surround this kind of like what do you call it? Like a boiling pot? No,
melting pot
neighborhood.
Yeah.
Where there's the Korean store next door, the Italian store that our main character Mookie works at. Yeah, you were gonna say something. Go for it.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it's also kind of a 24-hour movie.
Yeah,
like we start in one morning, we end the next morning. But yeah, it there's also not really a main character. I mean, I guess Mookie is the main character, but we jump off and there are a bunch of scenes without Mookie even there.
Right.
And it's really kind of just a portrait of like, I don't know, I think this street as like a microcosm of like racial tensions in America and in New York specifically. Pretty like what's the word? Like Nostradamus, you know.
Yeah, predictive.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Close enough. It's prescient. Pretty prescient movie, especially I think with the Korean shop owners, where this was 1989 and then in 92 there's the LA riots and obviously there's a lot of like Korean and Asian shop owners who like their stores are getting burned and then they're on like rooftops with rifles trying to defend their stores and all the tensions are sort of at the highest then, but this is just a few years before that. But yeah, mainly it's kind of about like the Black and Italian tensions, I feel like.
Yeah,
that's definitely kind of a primary thing. But there's also like mainly like Puerto Rican or Hispanic people also involved, but there's all sorts of crazy characters in the movie, and it gets very serious at the end, but also it's really hilarious for most of it.
Yeah, right. And we've got Spike Lee playing Mookie. We've got Danny Aiello. Hello?
Yeah,
Aiello as Sal. Giancarlo Esposito as Bugging Out. Bill Nunn as Radio Raheem. We've got like there's so many people in this. It's awesome. And again, there's really not like a main character, so we do bounce around between all these characters quite a bit. We've got like Ossie Davis is the mayor. Ruby D, who was married to Ossie Davis, was mother's sister, and they have a little kind of, I would say, some romantic tension for a while, which is just funny considering they were married. But
yeah, romantic tension in that he's trying to woo her, and she's like, "You're a drunk get away from me.
Yeah, yeah. But it kind of works. It kind of
Yeah,
works.
yeah, it is very, very charming, actually.
Yeah, he buys her flowers.
Yep, yep.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, it's a huge cast. We've got a ton of people, and they're all like super important to the movie. I mean, the beginning of this movie really feels like kind of like you're just being introduced to everyone through these like little mini vignettes almost of like, here's Mookie working at the pizza shop. Here's here's Pino and his brother arguing, right? Here's the three guys at the corner that are talking about the Korean people that moved in. Here's the Radio Raheem going up to the Puerto Rico people with his big boombox and everything, right? And all these like little mini vignettes to get you set in and like to understand the neighborhood and understand the people. And it's a really fascinating beginning where there's really no like plot in mind or anything. There's really nothing coherent that's like, overarching theme, not overarching theme, but overarching like plot going on yet, which is cool.
Yeah. And the very beginning, very iconic opening of the movie of Rosie Perez dancing to fight the power. It's very like, I don't know, it's not a super like choreographed or like precise like style of dancing. It seems very like emotional and like a little aggressive, but kind of just like getting all your emotions out there. Like without, it's not like a super precise like you'd see in a musical,
Right. Which is kind of what the movie's all about, right? Just getting your emotions out there, right?
Everyone in the movie is very emotional in a lot of ways and has strong emotions, and that leads to tragedy by the end.
Yeah. And it's interesting that this is during a heat wave, because one thing I want to point out is just how like orange and red a lot of the places are, right? The three people that just kind of sit at the corner are all on they're like the backdrop to them is just this like fire hydrant red wall, and there's obviously like the brownstone and a bunch of the buildings kind of look like orangey. And I think I read that they like pretty much remade this neighborhood. They like, it was kind of a dilapidated neighborhood, and or this street, I guess, and they like remade it, they repainted, they re-upped a bunch of places, and I think that's pretty cool. They put a lot of work into this street to make this movie happen on location, which is cool.
That is cool. Yeah, I've actually been to Do the Right Thing Way, where they shot this. And honestly, it just looked like a normal street in Brooklyn. And whenever I was there, it was probably a few years ago. I don't know when it was. But it was not like super recognizable, but I don't know. That was just my experience of it.
Yeah.
It's just like one block though, pretty much they shot at.
Yeah. It's gotta be, I mean, how many places are named after a piece of fiction? That's there can't be that many. I mean, I guess maybe like older literary pieces, there's probably places named after like well, no, I mean, honestly, I would think more characters. Maybe you might get places named after characters, but kind of crazy to have a place named after a movie. That's cool.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? Also, Casablanca, that city, it wasn't called Casablanca before.
Shoot, there we go.
I'm lying. I made that up. The movie's named after the city, obviously.
Everyone knows that.
Have you seen New York, New York? Actually, the city's named after the movie.
That's right. That's right. Taxi driver. That profession is named after the movie.
There you go.
Anyways. Also, iconic scene early on when they break the fire hydrant open and start spraying. They're all just playing around the water, and who is it that's driving up? They spray in the water. Just some random guy.
It's just like a random Italian guy, and this guy. What are you doing? Yeah, I mean, you're just an idiot. He's basically very aggressively being like, "Don't fucking spray me." And then obviously they're going to spray him because he's kind of being aggressive about it. And they're like teenagers. Yeah. But I'm like, why don't you just go around the block, buddy? Like, what? I mean, if you have a real problem with it. But yeah,
crazy. The amount of water in that car when he opens the door and it just floods out is crazy. Because it's a convertible. The stupid, like the asshole doesn't even like roll up windows, roll up the hood. He just goes. What a moron.
Yeah. Yep. Also, incredible character in the movie. Samuel L. Jackson plays Mr. Senor Love Daddy.
Yeah, the radio
The
host or the
Yes,
yeah.
the radio host at the very beginning, and he's sets the scene for how hot it is. Today it's going to be hot, and he gives a Jerry curl alert that your Jerry curls will get fucked up because it's so hot, which is a very 80s thing to say. I don't think anyone has had a Jerry curl since like 1994. Uh, but yeah, and then also we have at the beginning, like Smiley is in front of a church and he has the picture of Malcolm and Martin that he's trying to sell to people.
Right.
Uh, Played by Richard Guinevere Smith, who I think is like a very well known like theater actor mostly, but also worked with like Spike Lee in several movies. But I think he's also a theater actor. But I don't know if his character, obviously the person playing a mentally handicapped person is not like politically correct nowadays, but I do think he does a pretty good job of being a like sort of an innocent, I don't know, an innocent person who everyone kind of treats like shit, honestly.
Yeah.
Uh and
I mean,
yeah,
hey, Mookie and Sal both buy his pictures, and I mean, Mookie at one point's like, dude, just go away.
yeah,
But I think there's definitely people that have uh some uh some compassion for him, but yeah, a lot of people just
yeah,
treat him badly.
yeah. And I think there's like I like about the movie that really no one is like a great person.
Yeah.
Like everyone is very flawed in their own ways, and that kind of makes everything more interesting. But I think like I mean Smiley is obviously very innocent, and then Jade, who's barely in the movie, is Mookie's sister. But she seems like the person with her like head on the most straight
Yeah.
out of everyone in the movie. And she also doesn't really get involved in any of the shit that other people are getting involved in. Uh, so yeah,
And she's also played by
Joy
I don't
Lee.
have her name. Yeah, Spike Lee's actual sister. I was trying to find her
Yeah,
name.
yeah,
Which is kind of cool.
that
Uh,
is cool. And I believe Spike Lee's dad may have done the music for the movie.
oh, that's cool too. I didn't. The music in this movie is awesome. The obviously the theme song, um, "Fight the Power," but a lot of the music is
Huh?
just really really great.
Yeah, Bill Lee is yeah Spike Lee's father, and he did the music. Obviously, he didn't do Fight the Power, but
Yeah.
I don't think Fight the Power. I'm pretty sure it just came. It was just a song first, and then they used it in the
Oh.
movie. I don't
Oh,
think it
okay.
was made for the movie, but
Gotcha.
yeah,
Well, I mean, it fits in perfectly for the movie, so
yeah,
it
it
works.
has the Public Enemy with the sort of like anger and frustration in the music, and it kind of adds to the boiling tensions in the movie.
Literally, because the heat too.
Mm-hmm. There you go.
Yeah, which is kind of an interesting thing about like the heat, kind of, um, kind of rising the tensions even more because everyone's annoyed because it's hot. I mean, I feel like that's a very relatable thing of like when it's hot out, you're not happy.
Yeah, and there's like pretty much no AC. I mean, was there AC in the 80s? I feel like at least not in this neighborhood, probably, right?
well, I think there must have been AC in the 80s because chlorofluorocarbons were like a big thing in the 90s, and early 2000s to try to fix that stuff. And I know that's mostly from old refrigerators and I think old AC units. So I don't know if they were like as commercial as like the window ACs today, but
Wow, the first modern air conditioning system was invented in 1902, apparently.
wow,
But I think that's slightly different than
that
the
stuff probably
AC I have
killed you.
in my windows.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
probably.
the one in 1902 probably you inhale that after a few hours, you're dead. You can't put that on to sleep.
Well, at least it's cooler. But yeah, also beginning of the movie, an interesting little tidbit that I don't think I ever noticed till this time I had seen it. That Sal, Vito, and Pino, they arrive in a car, so they're not from the
Oh,
neighborhood, and they don't mention it in the movie, but like, yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense. They live in a different neighborhood. They're outsiders in that way.
yeah,
But also their pizza shop is a staple of the neighborhood. That dynamic in that family is very fascinating
yeah. It is.
because yeah. So like Sal obviously owns a pizza shop. He's had it for like 25 years. Everyone knows Sal. It- and it seems like people generally like Sal, and he's very friendly to most people. but then his two sons, like Pino is the older one, played by John Turturro, and he is very racist. He just hates black people. He hates going to work there because he's surrounded by black people. He's pretty much the most racist person in the movie. I pretty much, at least
Yeah,
as from what we see. I don't
yeah,
know, maybe the cops that kill Radio Raheem, I guess, uh but and then Vito is like the younger brother, and he's kind of friends with Mookie, and he's more normal, I guess. Uh, but yeah, and then I don't know, it's just interesting family dynamic in the pizza show.
yeah. And there's a lot of interest. I mean, there's like the time when Sal and Pino are sitting at the table talking, and Sal's like, dude, honestly, that was wrong with you. Like essentially, that's kind of what
Why
he
are you so angry?
right. Yeah, and it's clear that like that's not. I mean, Sal says he um uh everyone in the neighborhood's like grown up on his food, and Pino's like, let's just get out of here. Let's go open this in like an Italian place. And he clearly doesn't understand. I mean, we learn later that Sal even like built the place, right? And Pino clearly doesn't understand how emotionally connected Sal is to that location, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And it is kind of interesting, like at least when I think of someone who's like extremely racist like that, you'd kind of think that their father or family would be also
Yeah.
extremely racist. And obviously there is Sal is not, I don't know. He's not I don't know. He says the N-word later in the movie. He does that in a confrontation. But also I think he does actually like respect the people in the neighborhood and the customers, and he pretty much like sees them as equals.
Yeah.
But then Pino just sees them as so much less than like subhuman, basically. Like and he says like one reason is because his friends make fun of him that he works in like a black neighborhood,
Right.
which is such a like pathetic reason to be racist. Because and then Sal's like, oh well, those aren't your friends if they're making fun of you for that or whatever. But also I'm like, I don't know how old Pino and Vito are supposed to be. Maybe in their like 20s, like early 20s. I don't know.
Yeah.
But there's like I don't know, it's just interesting that it's like society has turned him into this like terrible racist. But then his brother is not that way, you know? So it's I don't know.
Right. I mean, it seems to me like Pino's friends are really, like he says, "Oh, they make fun of me," but I'm sure that in reality they're just like they are being racist, right? And he's around that, and that's kind of so like society and kind of the people that you surround yourself with, right? Like that stuff can change you, right?
Yeah.
Can change who you are. So
And
Vito's clearly
the movie doesn't have to have like answers to
right.
how it is. It's just kind of interesting the dynamic there, I think.
Yeah, definitely. Um, Yeah. Also, uh, just quick because I'm thinking about it, is the cinematography in this movie is really cool. There's so much like Dutch angles when they're showing conflict, especially even with the mayor and mother's sister. Every time it's kind of got these like Dutch angles where they're only in like half the frame, and they use that a lot when they're showing the conflict. So it's showing that as like a conflict, right? And
Mm-hmm.
and then other times they have like these big close-ups on conflict, even so much when they're doing the there's this moment, very iconic moment, when it has people from like uh every group that's there, kind of, I guess one person from every group just kind of like look into the camera, big close-up of them, and they just kind of say a bunch of racist stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
They slur, they say a bunch of bad stuff.
Yeah.
And
They
the cinematography there,
stereotypes about
yeah,
different
stereotypes.
groups. Yeah.
Yeah. And they get these like really intense close-ups, right? And that type of like intensity and the way they're just like exemplifying the conflict with the camera is really interesting. Even with Radio Raheem, when he goes up with his boombox to the Puerto Rican people, he goes up there and you get this really low shot from like the boombox angle almost, where it's showing him and it's clearly trying to like exaggerate or emphasize the tension.
Yeah,
Really
definitely.
well shot for
Yeah,
sure.
and shot by Ernest Dickerson, who shot a bunch of Spike Lee movies at this time, and then ended up directing a bunch of movies, including Juice. But just a few years later, he directed Juice. So very talented cinematographer. Uh, yeah, great. It's shot, and the colors are so vibrant, and and also it goes to like the costume design and like what people are wearing and the lighting and use of color and all that. Like, it's very expressive and loud and pretty
Yeah,
iconic.
yeah. I think the costume design and like the production design helped to make this feel almost more 90s in a way. Like in some, I think that some of this stuff just like lingers so well because maybe not always, maybe not obviously solely because of this movie, but because it becomes so iconic in pulp culture. The style and the the colors and all this stuff. Again, not just because of this movie, but because of the time period and
Yes. And there's the iconic scene with the Jordans when bugging out when the white guy with the Larry Bird shirt on walks by with his bike and he scuffs Bugging Out's Jordans. And Bugging Out, true to his name, he bugs out.
yeah,
And he's super pissed that his $100 Jordans are now scuffed. And just the hilarious line. And he's like, "Why don't you go back to Massachusetts anyway?" And the guy says, "I was born in Brooklyn." Everyone goes, "Oh man!" Like, that's like, "Oh man, you're born in Brooklyn and you're wearing the Larry Bird shirt." Like, oh my god. So yeah, it's just a hilarious scene.
yeah. Um, yeah, bugging out definitely bugs out.
Oh my god, fucking bugging out. I think this time around I had less I was less on bugging outside than ever before. Because I realized how much he instigates things and like I don't know. I guess I do in a way understand his frustration, but I think Jade is right in a lot of ways where I think he mentions the wall to her and how he wants to boycott Sal's because there's no black people on the wall, which I guess we should talk about because that's kind of the start of the conflict in the movie. But uh but ultimately, like, I think Jade says, like, well, what's that gonna do? Like, if you have pictures of black people on the wall, is that gonna change anything for anyone else? You know what I mean? Like, is that really gonna help people in the neighborhood really? Like, I don't know. It doesn't seem like it will, but
Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of like his he makes that his hill. You know, he takes that, he tries to find everyone that will help him boycott, right? And nobody does. Everyone's like, no, you know, Mookie's like, you work here. No, right? But
yeah,
like, and everyone has their own excuses, but like ultimately, like nobody's gonna help him until Radio Raheem, who also got into an altercation with Sal because of his music, um, it does, says that he'll help him.
yes, yeah. I think like, and also it's kind of interesting. It kind of comes out of like, does it come out of a real desire to like have racial equality, or is it just a personal beef that they have because bugging out is in I forget exactly how the scene plays out. I'm just trying to remember, but there's a conversation about the pizza. He wants a slice. How much is a slice? And there's definitely tension between
Oh
bugging out
yeah,
and Sal, and it seems like this is something that's like gone on in the past, that there's stuff going between them. They don't like each other, but I forget exactly how it starts to escalate. But it seems like Sal is kind of being an asshole to him, but he's also kind of being an asshole to Sal. And I don't, he tells him about the extra cheese, and then he starts using the extra cheese. So they're kind of
he
like
takes
pushing
it away.
yes, he takes it away, and they're kind of like pushing each other's buttons. And then it seems like he almost is using this thing with the wall as just a way to try to get at a guy that he doesn't like,
Yeah,
and it's this personal thing that is being turned into a like racial conflict.
yeah, yeah, definitely. I think that's yeah, I completely agree. That's definitely how I read it too, where it's like it feels less even about the pictures on the wall, um, and just more about the other stuff going on, right? Um, which I think is true to reality too, oftentimes, right? Where like the conflict is actually more about other inner conflict and even other external conflicts, but stuff that's been going on before and less about like the immediate one thing, right?
Yeah, yeah, I think so. But one other thing about the movie, there's like this foreshadowing at the very beginning of the movie. I don't know if was this your first time seeing Do the Right Thing?
Yeah.
Okay, so I, but this time around I noticed it where Pino and Vito are like kind of like quarreling. I don't know, arguing in the place. They're gonna fight or whatever, and then Danny Aiello, Sal, says, oh, I'm gonna kill somebody today. And he means like you two are pissing me off. I'm gonna kill one of you. But he kind of ends up killing somebody, obviously at the end of the movie. So
Yeah.
it's this kind of ironic foreshadowing. I don't know. I don't think I ever noticed it before, and you wouldn't really notice it on a first viewing.
Yeah. That's interesting. Yeah, I definitely did not notice that. And I guess that brings us to the 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 terrible part where I guess this is I wrote down an hour and 30-ish minutes in. Um
Yeah,
uh uh Bugging Out and Radio Raheem, and also um
Martin Lawrence and his crew are there.
oh yeah, they're already inside
So
though, right?
well, they're closed. So they're closed and they're counting up the money and Mookie's about to get
Mm,
paid. And then Martin Lawrence and his friends, there's like four of them. Also, this is like early Martin Lawrence role. Pretty cool. It's like before
yeah.
Martin and everything. And he just plays a guy with a lisp who's just like wearing a Lakers jersey, just kind of a guy.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, they want like four slices, and then Sal's like, all right, fine, like, well, I know you guys, you can come in and have a slice, whatever. And he starts making the pizza, and then Bugging Out and Radio Raheem, they don't really bust in the door. They kind of just walk in, but the shot is like this low shot that's sort of like a hero shot. Kind of, they mean business. There's like, they're not just sauntering into Sal's. And yeah, it fight the powers blasting out of the boombox, and
Yeah.
then yeah, Sal busts the boombox.
Yeah, baseball bat destroys it. Really tense moment. Really tense. And everyone's yelling at him. And he had just said the N-word, right? This is when he had said the N-word in conflict. He was uh everyone was yelling and he says it, and he destroys the boombox. And then somebody calls the police.
Well, yeah, I don't know when someone starts to call the police, but I forget exactly how him and Radio Raheem are fighting,
Mm-hmm.
and Radio Raheem is like choking him.
Outside. They've already pretty much gone outside at this point then, right?
Yeah, I think he starts like choking him a little bit inside
Oh, okay.
the place, and then it goes onto the sidewalk. Yeah.
And I think once it gets onto the sidewalk is really when, a lot of people are crowding around, and then you start seeing the police cars come up, and one of the police officers, I don't have their names right now. I don't know, but
There's I thought I had it, but I lost it. So keep talking.
that's fine. Yeah, one of the police officers gets Radio Raheem by the neck with his baton and chokes him out, and even the other his partners telling him, dude, that's enough, right? And everyone's saying, dude, you're gonna kill him, and he does, and they drag the body into the car and drive away, and that's yeah.
Yeah, and then and that happens, and everyone is angry at Sal at this point, kind of. And then Mookie throws a trash can through the window, and then they start, people. Yeah, the people who have gathered start destroying Sal's. Smiley actually lights it on fire, and then yeah, it burns down. They are stopped from burning down the Korean store. Some people want to, but then other people, the Korean guy's like, I'm black, and then the guy they're like, no, we're black or whatever. But yeah, so they don't burn down that store, but they do burn down Sal's.
And there's one scene, I think it's even before they burn down the place. I think it's pretty much right when the cops drive away. I might be wrong about the timing, but where the whole crowd, everyone starts saying names of people that were very very well known at the time for having been killed by police violence, and stuff. And these I think these are the same names that are credited at the dedicated the movie to at the end.
Yep.
Um, and I think it's 6 names of people that died of either police violence, or I think one of them was a white mob that killed them. And uh, I think this piece here all felt very reminiscent of things that have happened very recently with like George Floyd and all this. That uh, it it's very saddening that that this is 36 years ago, right? And obviously this has been going on for a lot longer than that, right? But it's sad to watch a lot of similar stuff to what we see today play out in a movie that was trying, in part trying to draw attention to it 36 years ago.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, Eric Garner was killed in New York City, choked by a police officer, and he ended up dying also. Uh, so yeah, definitely. And there's also they relate it to real life things in the movie, and there's also graffiti in the movie that says Tawana told the truth, which I didn't know about this until recently. There was, I think it was like 1987 ish. There was like a teenage girl who accused several police officers and maybe like an attorney or a lawyer or something like that, of like sexually assaulting her. And then I think it was found by a grand jury that it was not true, that she may have fabricated the story. And but it was apparently it was a big story at the time of obviously racial conflict. She was a black teenage girl accusing like white police officers of assaulting her. And so that was another real life
Wow.
situation that is being like referenced in the movie. And Spike Lee does this a lot in like a lot of his movies, of putting real life footage of things, intermixing real life and his movies to make his point, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah, which I think this does very effectively, right? I mean, I think again, like that scene and everything, it feels very reminiscent to, I'm sure, stuff that happened at the time. Obviously, not quite old enough to remember '89, but
Yeah.
but stuff that's happened even in our lifetimes that we've seen very recently. So, um, definitely, it's the nail on the head here.
Yeah, and it has the quotes at the end, the Martin Luther King Jr. quote, and then the Malcolm X quote as well, with obviously MLK being like anti-violence and that violence is not productive. And then Malcolm X saying that sometimes violence is necessary in self-defense. And it's kind of interesting, like just putting these two somewhat like to have the two somewhat conflicting quotes and then the picture of them together, and that sort of there's the validity to both ideas, I guess.
Yeah,
Although I will say in the story of the movie, I don't know that the violence was justified. Like I kept thinking like this is so avoidable. Like if people were, I don't know, more reasonable and could talk to each other and more respectful to each other, like if Pino wasn't just being such an asshole all the time, or if Radio Raheem wouldn't walk into places with his boombox blaring, or if Sal would be nicer about telling him to turn it down. Like people are just so uh
yeah,
like it's such an avoidable scenario, you know what I mean, in so many ways. But also that's kind of the heat too. It is such a important part
right.
of the story of like we're bringing up the tensions of making people agitated.
Yeah, and even like even the mayor when everyone's uh mad at Sal, the mayor is trying to calm people down and saying, he's saying, it, let's not do this, right?
Yeah.
And then he eventually pulls Sal and his kids away. But yeah, it's yeah, I mean, I think
And
definitely part of it's the heat, right? And part of it's just the frustration, right? That the anger with 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 Sal. I mean, they think it's Sal, and in part Sal does have a part in this, right? But um, yeah, a lot of stuff kind of coming together there
yeah.
to
And,
bring that on.
and like a crucial part of the movie, I think, is at the I guess is the next morning we hear over the radio that the city is going to investigate the burning of it and all that, but they don't mention the death, or they don't mention that the city is investigating the Radio Raheem's death.
Yeah.
So it's like, just because you know that that is not gonna, the cop's not gonna face any consequences for, like for killing him, for murdering a guy, basically, for, in a way that was totally avoidable, you know, and that's kind of the bigger point, I guess, is that something like this horrible can happen, and then it's not, uh, there's no consequences for people do, for killing someone.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, I mean, that frustration is very real, right? And very, um, I think that can drive people to throw that trash can, right? And to try to get some level of, uh, not accountability is not the right word, but, um, some level of uh, undoing that harm, not undoing, but I don't know, equalizing that harm or something, right? Not even equalizing, I don't know. But I
It's
think
like,
that, yeah, it can drive the need to kind of have something something done, right? To do something about it.
right, because yeah, maybe that is a thing of, like, I guess, does Mookie do the right thing at the end? And it's like, yeah, in an ideal world, probably not. Like, it's probably not good to burn down cells, but also, like, uh, Radio Raheem has just been killed by a white person, and I think Mookie and probably just people in general would feel, or I guess black people in general would feel like powerless in a certain way, and
Mm-hmm.
feeling like, oh, there's nothing we can do about this. Like, this guy just got killed right in front of us, and there's like going to be no consequences, and so they just like feel the
Yeah.
need to do something, and Sal just happens to be in the way. And I mean, and he also did kind of escalate the conflict that led to the death. I don't know who called the cops, I guess, in particular, but still.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, right. Like, who knows, right? But either way, yeah. I mean, he
And,
broke the boombox, right? I mean, like you said, like all these things that could be. This didn't have to happen if people could talk, right? And I think,
yeah,
in part, I think also the prejudices that everyone has, and that this movie tries to draw attention to, right, is really what stops people from talking in those situations, right? Instead of saying, "Hey, let's turn the music down," right? You're gonna yell, and if it happens again, you're gonna break the stupid thing, right?
yeah,
You're gonna act out, and same with like with um well, like everyone, right? I mean, that's just how people interact in the movie and in real life, right? Is I think those underlying prejudices will come out in those moments of minor tension.
yeah. And it's also like, you can look at it like rationally from the outside and be like, well, this would be the better thing to do. But I think the movie does a good job putting you in the situation and seeing like how just people act on emotions more than anything else. And yeah, like pretty much everyone is very, very emotional and has heightened emotions in the movie. And people are not like all perfect characters. I think it's interesting that like Mookie like has a kid, and he whatever, he's constantly accused of being like not involved in the kid's life, and I don't know how much he is. Like, he was a guess that he didn't show up for a week. That's not good. But then also he has a job, and it seems like he's trying, you know what I mean? But they don't make him like a heroic figure necessarily. Like, they make everyone kind of flawed. um so yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that.
Yeah, definitely. And I think even the final scene where it's like uh some amount of reconciliation, I guess, between Sal and Mookie, right? Where he goes to get his money, and they're yelling at each other, and Sal's kind of obviously freaking out and is yelling about how he built the place and all this stuff, right? And Mookie won't take the extra money and all that. And um yeah, I think even there, like, I don't know. I think the whole movie just reemphasizes that none of these characters are perfect, um and I think that just helps it feel so real, you know?
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Yeah, we didn't really talk about Rosie Perez's character, Tina, who's, I mean, she starts the movie. She's the first character we see. Yeah, I don't know. Pretty iconic performance, but also, man, Rosie Perez, she knows how to yell at someone in a movie.
Yeah. Um, yeah. I
And
mean,
there's
her.
the also one of the sexiest non-sex scenes with the ice.
Yeah.
Maybe the sexiest scene without sex. That could be a list. That could be a video we do on topic.
Uh,
Sexiest scenes that don't have sex in them.
uh, yeah. Let me go with my Pedro Pascal list. Hold on.
All right, get out of here, Pedro Pascal.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
No, I know you really. Ryan really likes Pedro Pascal. Don't. He has a shrine. It's right off camera. You can't see it.
That's
There's a shrine to Pedro Pascal over there.
Can you see?
Yeah. Yeah, I have a Rosie Perez one right there. But yeah, pretty incredible like cast of characters. Like Giancarlo Esposito too is bugging out. Great, like he's just an incredible actor. But yeah, this was like kind of sets. I feel like this is one of his big like breakout roles. Yeah,
yeah. And even isn't it Rosie Perez's like first role? Yeah,
maybe. Yeah, could be.
I think it is. Yeah, I mean, again, just the huge cast is, and every piece of the cast is very important. And everyone does so good, right? I mean, like, yeah, I think everyone in this movie is awesome and just plays the roles really well.
Yeah,
but damn, I'll say this movie is crazy that it goes from very funny and very exciting and kind of just like almost like slice of lifey. And I guess it still is kind of slice of lifey, but goes from this like kind of comedy to, in the end, it's a very sad, emotional experience.
Yeah, true. I will say those the three guys on the side, ML and then Sweet Dick Willie, and I forget the other guy's name.
Yeah,
they're pretty funny. Coconut Sid.
I forgot his name was Sweet Dick Willie, and they keep making a big deal about that. That's funny.
Yeah, they talk about Sweet Dick Willie because ML is like, does your mama name you Sweet Dick Willie or something like that?
Yeah, he's like, no, it's a nickname, and they're like, you can't nickname yourself or something.
Yeah. But also ML, like he talks about climate change at one point at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah,
I was like, wow, that has aged. Like, so he's like, the polar ice caps are gonna melt and we'll all be underwater. And the other guys are like, what the hell are you talking about? You're crazy. And he's like, you'll see one day, one day. And I was like, wow, this guy was kind of ahead of the curve a little bit on the melting polar ice caps.
Yeah. Also, there's a quote early in the movie, about Radio Raheem of where they said somebody says, I forget who. I think it's somebody maybe in Martin Lawrence's crew maybe that says he even walks in stereo when he's walking with the beatbox, and I think that's a really good description of his character because his character has like the presence on screen, and has the music and has the vibe and yeah,
and he has the love and hate on the knuckles like Night of the Hunter.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. Yeah,
and he has sort of his speech about love and hate and love conquering hate kind of a thing.
Yeah, which I think here is much more of a kind of external type of love and hate conflict, whereas in Night of the Hunter, I think that's supposed to be maybe a little more kind of like internal turmoil type thing, with
well, it could be internal also. I mean, like how you respond to like hatred and all this kind of thing. Like, is it the Malcolm X, you react with violence, or is it the Martin Luther King, only light can drive out darkness and only love can drive out hate, So I think there is also the internal like battle
that's
this
true.
as well.
That's definitely true.
Yeah. But yeah. But it's not tattoos on his knuckles, it's brass knuckles. And it is interesting that he's saying like love is like defeating hate in like a boxing match. Like there is still a violence to it. So
yeah, and he says that one will always be, ready for the next one just in case or something, even if love wins, hate hangs back on the side just in case, Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting
but
stuff.
great movie. I'm glad you've seen it. I really love the movie, and I find like the first half of it is so fantastic. It's hilarious. You're just enjoying it so much, but the ending is so just sad and dark that it does make me more hesitant to rewatch it as often. But I mean that the first like beginning of the movie is just really great. I
Yeah.
mean it's all really great, but it's just the ending is quite sad to where I'm like, I don't know if I want to watch Do the Right Thing today, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, but I mean I think also definitely like this feels like a really important movie for everyone to watch once at least. You know, like um if we're preaching to people that have already seen it obviously at this point, but yeah, I think this is a movie where like it's everything about it still resonates so well today and um I think everyone should just watch it. I think it helps just kind of see where things are. I don't know.
Yeah, and it's more, I think, supposed to be like a just showing these like tensions and this part of society and like aspects of humanity and just being like a conversation starter and making people think. And I don't think the movie is trying to give us concrete answers of, okay, this is how you have to do it. Like, I mean, you can see it just at the end with the two quotes that kind of conflict in some ways. Like, a lot is left open to interpretation, and I think maybe that's part of the intention of the thing is to, you know, show things as they are and just spark, maybe show people a different perspective on things. If if you're a white person in the suburbs and this is a totally alien situation for you, like this would be eye opening for sure, obviously, but also just like more just asking the questions and starting a conversation rather than trying to give us answers, which I think makes it feel like it's not preachy, which
Right.
I think is good.
Yeah. Yeah. Overall, I loved it. It was this episode was a banger. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, 5 stars for me.
Yes, also 5 stars for me. Look at this. The double, quadruple 5 stars. Is this the first episode with a double 5 stars?
This must. I can't imagine another episode where we both had 5 stars for both. That's pretty wild.
Yeah. We did good.
Yeah, this was a good week.
All right. Should we do rating recap and then wrap it
Yeah.
up?
I didn't put my notebook away yet or anything.
All right. Well, in the
I got it.
okay.
um, yeah, no. So IMDb has this at 8 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes has 92% and 89% audience score, and then 4.4 out of 5 on Letterboxd. So all pretty much hovering around the same area, and I didn't average it. Whoops.
You got to do some math.
I got to do
Yeah, that makes sense. It's very highly respected on Letterboxd. I mean, it's on the top 250. I think it's very high up there. It's number 59 on the top 250 of all time in Letterboxd. Which yeah, 4.4 is extremely high for a Letterboxd rating.
Yeah, and it's a really high average too. Now that I did it, it's a 8.725 average. So really high up there.
Makes sense.
And both of these float around. This is on the higher eights, and the other one was 8.325, so lower eights. But both of these, I mean, clearly we both loved them, but I'm glad to see that we're not the only ones.
Yes, it's a great movie. It's nice that it has such respect while being about like pretty controversial subject matter, I guess. Like there's a scene where people just say like racial stereotypes about different groups for like a couple minutes. And it's like, but everyone's like, yeah, this is a great movie. So I'm glad it gets the respect it deserves.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay, we're done with After Hours and Do the Right Thing. We're at the end of the episode. If you've been watching along at all, this is the part where we choose our topic for the next full episode. Before then, we're going to have a half episode. I think, are we doing top 5 movies directed by women?
Yeah, that's great.
All right, great. That'll be our next week's episode for the half episode. And then our next full episode will be a new topic, which I'm pulling right now. I've got the cup. If you're on YouTube, you can see it. I'm not cheating. The topic for next week's episode is a shift in, well, it's parodies. That's actually perfect. The new Naked Gun movie is coming out
Oh shoot! Wait, when is this gonna release? Hold on, we probably have time for that.
Thursday. Well, it'll be out in two. It comes out this weekend. It'll be out.
Oh shoot! Oh, we could do.
You could do the new Naked Gun. I think that's a parody, right?
Oh yeah, it's a parody of the whole genre.
Yeah. So that is certainly an option.
That's that's a pretty good option. Let's see. That's great.
Now, where do we draw the line? Like parody versus satire? Is there?
Um, it's a yeah, it's a tough line. I don't know. I would say, well, you can be pretty loose on it. I mean, I think it depends, right? But I think satires are often also parodies. But
All right, I think I know what I'm picking.
oh yeah, that was quick.
Yeah, I mean, I just saw it and I was like, yeah, it's the best. Black
Okay.
Dynamite.
Oh shoot, you've been waiting for this.
Black Dynamite's awesome.
Well,
I could definitely rewatch Black Dynamite.
I'm doing Naked Gun then.
The original or the new one?
The new one. We're gonna do the new one.
All right, the new Naked Gun.
As long as you're good for that.
Yeah,
Excellent. Sweet. Wait, that was super easy.
the easiest thing. There's a couple other cool options. There's like, Tropic Thunder's kind of a parody. The original Naked Gun. Also, something that just popped up when I looked it up was The Cabin in the Woods, which maybe I don't know if it really is a parody though.
Yeah. See, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would probably my bias on parody is that usually parodies should be like almost it should be a lot more humor, I think. Like Cabin in the Woods
Yeah.
feels more meta and satirical, but not as satirical and parody-esque, right? Like,
Yeah, I think so. I think it's more of a horror comedy, and if
Yeah.
it was a parody, it would just be straight up comedy.
right, like
more
Scary
like-
Movie, right? Like
Yes.
you're not gonna no one's getting scared from Scary Movie.
Yeah,
So
no one above the age of like 6.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I love Cabin in the Woods, but I don't think it's
Yeah,
perfect for this topic.
right. I would
But
agree.
Black Dynamite's, I mean, just as good. Fucking great movie.
That's awesome. So Black Dynamite and the new Naked Gun. This is pretty sweet to feature like a brand new movie on one of these
Yeah.
episodes.
Actually, this is the first time I think we'll have a movie that's in theaters on one of our main episodes.
Yeah, we've done it for some of our half episodes, but
Should this be called Black Naked Gun or the Naked Dynamite?
the Naked Dynamite's pretty good.
Black Gun is pretty funny.
Black Gun's pretty funny. I like
We can
Naked
do-
Dynamite better.
We can do the Naked Dynamite.
The
We can do
Naked Dynamite.
We don't need to make it racial. All right,
The Naked Dynamite.
the Naked Dynamite. That's fire. All right, sick. That was literally the easiest picking of our next episode we've ever done.
Yeah, it helps a lot that there is the movie in theaters that we're both already planning on seeing that fits the bill. So
Yeah,
and you've been like itching for to get Black Dynamite in there. That's
That's
yeah.
definitely been on my radar of something that I wanna pick. It's just so rewatch. I actually I've only seen it the one time, but I want to rewatch it,
yeah.
and now I got a good reason to.
I want to rewatch it too because I think the first time I saw it, I've seen a lot more of the genre since then. Not like I've seen a ton of the genre, but I think I have a better idea of what it's parodying.
Parodying.
Parodying. That sounds awful. But so I think I might have more appreciation even for it now. But so
Hell yeah.
that'll be great.
Right. Fuck yeah. All right. Well, we got a bunch of comedies recently. That's nice.
Yeah. Can't wait to get back on our found footage horror streak.
No. That was a terrible era. We're never going back. Get out of here. We can fuck found footage. All right. Anyway. And with that, don't forget to mind your movies.